I want to share something that can change your life and even save your relationships. This is my personal experience. A wise man must learn from others' experiences rather than trying himself. I was in the attic of our 5-bedroom Georgian townhouse in Richmond, London, a house I'd bought 30 years ago, when the bricks and mortar felt as solid as my ambition. I was looking for old tax files from the 90s, a tedious request from my auditor ahead of the merger. The files were in an old Louis Vuitton steamer trunk, a relic from my wife Isabel's family. It's one of those enormous wardrobe-sized things plastered with faded stickers from long-dead hotels in Biarritz and Cairo. I've been in it a dozen times, usually to find some Christmas decoration she'd stored there. But this time, my hand brushed the silk lining at the bottom, and I felt a catch, a hard, straight edge that didn't belong. My heart, an organ I generally ignore, gave a single, hard thump. I am a man who deals in logistics. My name is Frank Collins. I'm 61 years old. For 35 years, I've run Collins Maritime Logistics, a company I built from nothing into a global force. I don't sell stocks. I don't write code. I move things. 600-ton turbines for North Sea wind farms, entire factory assembly lines, CAT 797 mining trucks. My entire life, my entire legacy is built on knowing exactly where every piece is at every second. My world is a fortress of control. I don't guess. I don't hope. I know. And I did not know this. I tore the lining, the silk, brittle with age, ripped with a sound like a dry cough. And inside, nestled in a shallow, custom-built compartment, was a single, small, antique-looking key and a small, leather-bound passbook, the kind of bank book you haven't seen in 40 years. I opened it. The account was with a private Swiss bank, a discreet, granite-faced institution in Zurich. Vogel and Haas, the logo read. The name on the account wasn't Isabel, it was the Lazarus Trust. Lazarus, the man who came back from the dead. My hands were steady. They are always steady. But the air in the attic felt thin. The book was full of entries, handwritten, in a precise, elegant script that was not Isabel's. Deposits, small at first. 1,000 pounds here, 2,000 there, then larger, much larger, 10,000, 20. The last deposit just 1 month ago was for 50,000 pounds. The total was staggering, well over $1 million. But it wasn't the sum that made my blood run cold. It wasn't the secrecy or the Zurich bank or even the name. It was the dates. The very first entry was dated October 19th, 1991. I didn't need to check a calendar. I didn't need to think. That date is burned into me. It is a crater in my life. October 19th, 1991 was the day of my first wife's funeral. My wife, Catherine. She died in a car crash. A drunk driver on the rain-slicked A3 near Guildford. The driver was never found. The incident, it nearly destroyed me. I was a different man then. Younger, angrier, reckless. I was drinking. I was on the verge of losing my fledgling company. Isabel was my rock. She was Catherine's best friend. They were like sisters, inseparable since their university days at Oxford. She was the one who pulled me out of the darkness. She sat with me. She listened. She handled the probate, the endless, awful paperwork. She was the one who, 2 years later, finally convinced me to live again. We got married. We built this life. This fortress, and this account. She had opened it the day I buried my first wife. I sat there, in the dust and the dark, and my whole life began to rearrange itself. The solid walls of my fortress turned to smoke. This wasn't a rainy day fund. This wasn't a secret shopping account. This was a plan, a cold, meticulous 30-year plan. My mind started to spin. I, the man who controls everything. I had been living with a stranger, a spy. What was this money for? An exit strategy? Was my entire 30-year marriage just a performance? A long, patient con? Was she waiting for me to get old, to build the company into a titan, and then vanish? The 50,000-pound deposit, 1 month ago. Where did she get that? I'm in the middle of the biggest deal of my career. A merger with a German conglomerate. A 200 million pound deal that will secure my legacy, my retirement, my final act. I've been liquidating non-essential assets, moving money, preparing the books. She, as my wife, has access to all of it. Was she skimming? Was she stealing from me? Siphoning off capital from the one deal that meant more to me than anything? I felt a cold, quiet rage I haven't felt in 30 years. I am not a man you play. I am not a fool. I put the key and the passbook in the inner pocket of my jacket. I smoothed the lining of the trunk. I went downstairs, washed the dust off my hands, and went to my study. Isabel was in the garden, cutting roses. She's a curator at the British Museum. She spends her days with things that are dead: Egyptian masks, Roman coins, medieval armor. Her world is quiet, academic, soft, or so I thought. She came inside, smiling, holding a vase. "Frank, darling, you look like you've seen a ghost." I just looked at her. Her smile, the lines around her eyes, the woman I had shared a bed with for nearly 30 years. "Just dust," I said. "The attic." "Oh, you found the files?" "Wonderful," she said, and she kissed my cheek. Her skin was warm. The kiss felt like ice. "I'm heading to the museum. We have a new exhibit, the Thracian Gold. It's a madhouse. Don't wait up." She left. I watched her drive away in her little hybrid. I was now a spy in my own home. I didn't confront her. You don't confront a snake until you know exactly where it's hiding and exactly how much venom it has. I hired a man. You've seen them in movies. Private detectives. They're all rumpled coats and whiskey. This man, he was not like the movies. His name was Heller. His office was a sterile glass box on the 34th floor of a building in the city with a view of the Gherkin. He was gray. He was quiet. He wore a suit that cost more than mine. He looked like an accountant or a mortician. He was ex-MI6, now specializing in corporate and offshore finance. I sat across from him. I didn't tell him it was my wife. "I have a high-level partner," I said. "I suspect they are siphoning funds from a joint venture in preparation for a hostile takeover. I found this." I slid the passbook and the key across the desk. Heller didn't touch them. He just stared at them. "The Lazarus Trust," he said, his voice a flat monotone. "Vogel and Haas. That's an old one. Very deep. Very quiet. This is not a simple asset hiding account, Mr. Collins. This is a fortress. This is a legacy account. This is for a ghost." "What does that mean?" "It means that whoever controls this doesn't just want to hide money. They want to erase an identity or create a new one. This is generational. This is blood feud level stuff. It will be expensive." "I don't care," I said. "I want to know what it is. I want to know where the last deposit, $50,000, came from. And I want to know who she's been meeting." I finally said it. "The partner. It's my wife." Heller's face didn't change. Not a flicker. "Of course it is," he said. "It always is." He stood up. "I'll need a retainer." And 72 hours. The next 3 days were the longest of my life. I lived inside my own skin like it was a prison. Every moment was a new form of psychological torture. I went to the office. My office in Mayfair is all dark wood, leather, and models of container ships. It smells of history, of control. Now, it felt like a stage set. I drove there in my Jaguar XJ, a dark green X350. It's an old car, but it's a thug in a Savile Row suit. It's the only thing I felt I could trust. I had a board meeting, and he was there, Simon Vale. Vale is my main rival. He's in his early 40s, all new money and ruthless ambition. He runs a sleek, aggressive firm out of a glass and steel box in Canary Wharf. He's the one trying to kill this merger, or rather, insert himself into it. He wants my shipping routes. He wants my proprietary logistics software. He's a shark. He smells the blood in the water. He was all sleek, European-cut Loro Piana suits and crocodile skin charm. "Frank," he said, his smile all teeth, "you're looking tired. This merger, it's a big lift for a man, at your stage. Perhaps you should rest. Let the next generation handle the fine print." I wanted to put my fist through his smiling face. "I'm fine, Simon," I said, my voice like gravel. "My stage is winning. Yours is watching." The room was ice, but the paranoia in my head was on fire. Was Isabel working with him? Was this whole thing a hostile takeover of my life? Was she feeding him my company's secrets? My bid numbers? My shipping routes? Was the 50,000 pounds a payment? A man who's losing his legacy? Losing his control? It makes him paranoid. Or it makes him see the truth. I went home. I lived in my house like a ghost. I watched her, my wife. This woman I'd had dinner with 10,000 times. I watched her on her phone, smiling. She would text and then laugh softly. Who was she texting? A lover? A broker? Simon Vale? I watched her at her computer in the museum's database. Was she researching or was she moving my money? Cross-referencing my shipping manifests with her acquisitions? I watched her get dressed for a museum gala. She put on a diamond necklace, my necklace, a 20th anniversary gift. Did she look at it as a gift or as an asset? Every move she made, every kind word, every "I love you, Frank," it all felt like a lie, a perfectly crafted 30-year-long lie. I sat in my study, pouring a heavy glass of Macallan 18. I didn't even taste it. I just needed the familiar, peaty burn. I felt like Charles Boyer in Gaslight, the man being driven insane, made to doubt his own reality. But I wasn't insane. I had the passbook. I had the key. Heller called. "We need to meet," he said, not on the phone. I met him in a parking garage under Waterloo Station. It felt cheap, clandestine. I was a character in a spy novel I didn't want to be in. He sat in his car, a black Audi, the engine off. "You were right to be suspicious," he said. He handed me a large manila envelope. "The Lazarus Trust is real. It's an anonymous account, designed to hold sensitive assets. The key you gave me, it's not just for a bank, it's for a vault in that bank." "What's in it?" I asked, my voice dry. I couldn't get inside. "That key is only half of it. It's a dual-control vault. You need that key and another one, held by the bank manager in Zurich. It's ironclad, but I did trace the 50,000-pound deposit." He paused. "It wasn't a transfer from your accounts. It wasn't a wire. It was a cashier's check from a small local bank in Windsor. The check was purchased by a third party. He handed me a photograph, a grainy black and white surveillance photo from the bank. A man at the counter. He was in his late 30s, dressed well, in a tweed jacket. He looked soft, anxious, a man I didn't recognize. "Who is he?" I said. "I don't know," Heller said. "His name is David Miller. He's a music teacher at Eton College. No criminal record, no connection to you, no connection to Simon Vale. He's a ghost, but he's the one who bought the check. A check that was then deposited by your wife. But that's not the worst part." He handed me another set of photos, this time in color. This time, it was Isabel. She was at a cafe, a quiet tea room in Windsor near the college, sitting across from him, the music teacher, the same man. They weren't fighting. They weren't in a business meeting. They were intimate, not kissing, but close, familiar. Her hand was on his. He was smiling. In another photo, she was handing him an envelope. "This was taken 2 days ago," Heller said. "She's been meeting him for months." This is what it looks like, Mr. Collins. It's the oldest story." So, there it was. The simplest, oldest, and most pathetic story in the world. She wasn't a corporate spy. She wasn't a criminal mastermind. She was just cheating. She was stealing my money to give to her lover, a 30-year secret, a Lazarus who had come back into her life. I felt empty. And then I felt stupid. I, Frank Collins, the man who moves mountains, the man who controls everything. I've been played for 30 years by a museum curator and a high school music teacher. "Find out everything about him," I said, my voice hollow. And find out why she's meeting Vale? Heller looked confused. Vale? She's not meeting Vale. I checked. There is no connection. She is, I said, my mind racing. It has to be connected. This is too perfect. Vale is squeezing me on the merger. My wife is stealing from me. It's a pincer movement. This lover is just a distraction, a middleman. Check again. Heller sighed. Mr. Collins, I've been doing this for 30 years. It's never the business. It's always this. But I'll check. You're paying me to check. I went home. I sat in my study for hours. I drank 2 fingers of the Macallan, then 2 more. The rage was gone. All that was left was a cold, vast emptiness. The fortress was rubble. She came home late. She was humming. She came into the study, untying her scarf. Hello, darling, she said, smiling. Tough day? The gala was endless. My feet are killing me. I looked at her. Her smile. The same smile she'd given me for 30 years. The same smile she gave him in the photograph. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. That's not my way. I just walked past her, into the living room. I placed Heller's manila envelope on the antique walnut coffee table. I put the passbook on top of it, and I put the key on top of that. I turned. She had followed me. She was still holding her scarf. She saw the key. Her face. She didn't look guilty or scared. She just crumbled. It was like relief. It was the look of a soldier who's been holding a post for 30 years, who can finally stand down. Oh, Frank, she whispered. She put her hand to her mouth. You found it. Who is he, Isabel? I asked. My voice was quiet, dead. The man in the pictures. The music teacher, the one you've been stealing for. Who is he? She looked at the photo. Her eyes, they filled with tears. Stealing? She said. Oh, Frank, you think this is my money? I saw the passbook, Isabel. 30 years. I saw the meetings, the envelope. It's a lover, isn't it? A long con, all of it. A lover? She said, and she let out a sound. It was half a sob, half a laugh. It was the most broken sound I had ever heard. God, Frank, if only it were that simple. Then what is it? I demanded. What lie have I been living? Frank, sit down, she said. I didn't sit. She picked up the passbook. Her hand was shaking. This wasn't my secret, Frank. This was Catherine's. The name hit me like a physical blow. I just stared at her. What? Catherine, Isabel said, her voice shaking. She wasn't who you thought she was. The car crash, the drunk driver, it wasn't random, Frank. My legs went weak. I sat down on the sofa. What are you talking about? Her family, Frank. Her father. They weren't just old money from Boston. They were dangerous money. They were connected. You knew she was estranged from them. You just didn't know why. She said they were controlling, I managed to say. They were monsters, Isabel said, her voice suddenly hard as steel, especially her brother, Simon. He was unstable, violent, cruel. She was terrified of him. She was trying to get out, to escape him. She was running. Isabel sat across from me. The story just poured out of her. The week before she died, Isabel whispered, she came to my apartment. It was raining. She was terrified. She looked like a ghost. She gave me this key and the passbook. She said, Belle, if anything happens to me, anything, this is for him. Don't let my brother find it. Swear to me. Wait until it's safe. Give it to him. Make sure he's safe. My mind, I couldn't. Give it to who? Her son, Frank? I just shook my head. The room was spinning. Catherine. Catherine didn't have a son. We were trying. Before you, Isabel said softly. When she was 19, before she ever met you, she had a child, a boy. She was in love. Her father, her brother. They found out. They took the boy. They made her give him up. They said he disappeared. A private adoption. They broke her, Frank. She spent her whole life and all her money secretly trying to find him. My entire world just tilted. My wife, my first wife, a secret child. The man in the photo, Isabel whispered, pushing it toward me. The music teacher. That's not my lover, Frank. That's her son. That's David. I found him. After 35 years, I finally found him. I looked at the picture. The man at the bank, the man at the cafe. I don't understand, I said. The money. The 50,000 pounds. That was the last of it, she said. The Lazarus Trust. It was Catherine's money, her inheritance, siphoned away for years, hidden from her family. She wanted me to give it to him, so he could start a new life, so he could be free. You've been doing this for 30 years? I asked. Searching for him? Protecting this? While married to me? I made a promise, Frank, she said, and her eyes flashed with an anger I'd never seen. I promised my best friend, on my life, that I would protect her son. I couldn't tell you, ever. I wanted to. God, Frank, I wanted to, 1,000 times. But I couldn't. Why? Why couldn't you trust me? Because Frank, her brother, the one she was afraid of, the one who's been hunting for this money his entire life, he was the one who ran her off the road. What? It wasn't a drunk driver, Frank. It was him. He found out she was looking for her son. He found out about the money. He tried to get it from her. She said no. So he killed her. He staged it. And he got away with it. And he's still looking for this money. He's still looking for him. She took a deep, shuddering breath. Your merger, Frank. Your rival. The man who's been trying to destroy you. Simon Vale. I just stopped breathing. Vale? His name isn't Vale, Isabel said, her voice a dead, cold whisper. That's his mother's name. His real name is Simon Costello. He's Catherine's brother. He wasn't trying to take over my company. He was trying to find me. He knew I was married to Isabel. He knew she was Catherine's best friend. He suspected she was the key. He was squeezing my company to squeeze her, to get to his sister's hidden money. The hostile takeover wasn't business. It was a blood feud. He was finishing the job. All my paranoia, all my suspicion. I thought my wife was a spy. I thought she was a cheater. I thought she was my enemy. But she wasn't a spy. She was a guardian. She was a fortress. She'd been standing between my life and this darkness for our entire marriage. She was protecting me, protecting Catherine's legacy, protecting a son I never knew existed. I'm a man who controls things. My whole life, I've been the strong one, the one who builds the walls. And I never realized the strongest person in my life was the one living inside those walls with me. I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the exhaustion, the 30-year burden, the weight of the promise she'd kept. I stood up. I walked to my desk. I picked up the phone. I called Heller. Heller, I said, I have a new job for you. Simon Vale. I don't want his finances. I want October 19th, 1991, a car crash on the A3 near Guildford. I want the police reports. I want the witnesses. I want the drunk driver you won't find. I want everything, and I want it by morning. I hung up. Isabel was staring at me. Frank, what are you going to do? He's right about one thing, I said, my voice like iron. It's time for the next generation to take over. But I'm not the one who's retiring. The final merger meeting is tomorrow. Simon Vale is going to be there with his team of lawyers ready to pick my company's bones. He thinks he's coming to a business meeting. He thinks he's going to break me. He doesn't know what he's walking into. He thinks he's the only one who's come back from the dead. He's wrong.